So simple tutorial.
Democracy is not only about electing the rulers. The rulers have to work for the people, for the development of the country. Once a government comes to power, it has to take certain initiatives to achieve the goals of people's welfare and development. Thus, from the very first day in office, the government has to involve itself in working out policies and formulating legislations that may bring it closer to that goal. But while doing so, they cannot be autocratic and do whatever they want. They have to function according to certain sets of rules and regulations. They have to follow certain procedures. They have to work with and within the institutions. Good morning, students. This is Vijay Singh, your social science teacher for class 9 and 10, and you are watching So Simple tutorial. Today we are doing one short revision of the lesson Working of Institutions. This lesson is all about the working of such institutions in a democracy. Let us first revise how major policy decisions are taken. Students, when the government takes a decision, they are communicated through office memorandum. One such order was passed by the Government of India in 1990 regarding a major policy decision. This order allowed 27% reservation of socially and educationally backward classes in civil posts and services under the Government of India. This order led to a countrywide protest. In some places, protests were violent. As a result, the issue became the most debated one in the media with different views and opinions. Some people and associations filed a number of cases in courts against the order. They appealed to declare the order invalid and stop its implementation. The Supreme Court bunched all these cases together. The case was named Indira Sahni and others versus Union of India case. The final judgment came in 1992 when the court declared that the order of the Government of India was valid. At the same time, the court asked the government to modify the original order, stating that well-to-do persons from the backward classes should be excluded from getting the benefits of reservation. The Department of Personnel and Training then, based on the court's direction, issued another office memorandum in 1993. Thus, the dispute came to an end and this policy has been followed since then. Let us now revise the importance of institutions in democracy. See, some persons have to take decisions on how to go about the governmental activities. Others have to implement the government decisions. And if disputes arise on these decisions, there should be someone to decide what is right and what is wrong. In India, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet are the institutions that take all important policy decisions. The civil servants are responsible for implementation of these decisions, and the Supreme Court is the institution where disputes between citizen and the government are finally settled. Let us now revise the Parliament. Dear students, in all democracies, you will always find an assembly of elected representatives who exercise supreme political authority on behalf of the people. In India, such a National Assembly of elected representatives is called Parliament. At the state level, it is called Legislative Assembly. So why do we need a Parliament? It is for the following reasons. 1. It is the final authority for making laws in any country. It can change the existing laws, abolish them, and make new laws in their place. 2. It exercises control over the ruling government. Those who run the government can take decisions only as long as they enjoy the support of the Parliament. 3. They control all the money of the government. Neither public money can be spent nor any tax can be levied without the sanction of the Parliament. 4. Parliament is the highest forum of discussion and debate on public issues and national policies in any countries. My dear student, the Indian Parliament is bicameral. That means it has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In English, we call them the House of the People and Council of States respectively. Although the President of India is not a member of either house, the President is a part of Parliament. All the bills passed by Parliament become a law only after they receive the assent of the President. Let us now revise an important question from the examination point of view. Which of the two houses is more powerful? Our constitution gives some special powers to Rajya Sabha, but for most matters the Lok Sabha exercises supreme power. First, in case of ordinary bills. This bill can be originated in any of the houses. But if there is a difference between the two houses, the final decision is taken in a joint session of the two houses. This system generally favors the Lok Sabha because of its numerical strength, so the view of Lok Sabha prevails. Second, in case of money bills, Lok Sabha has more powers in money matters. First of all, you see, money bills can originate only in Lok Sabha. Then if the Lok Sabha passes the budget of the government or any other money related law, the Rajya Sabha cannot reject it. It can only suggest some changes in it, or it can delay by 14 days max. The Lok Sabha may or may not accept these changes. Third, in respect to control over the executive, the Rajya Sabha is powerless. Though the Rajya Sabha members can ask questions to the executives, move adjournment motions, but a vote of no confidence against the government can be passed in Lok Sabha only. Let us now revise political executive. Who are the executives? All those functionaries who are in charge of the execution of the policies of the government are called executives. In a democratic country, there are two categories of executives: political executives and permanent executives. All those elected by the people for a specific period are called political executives. So political leaders fall in this category. Permanent executives are appointed on a long-term basis. Civil servants fall in this category. They remain in office even when the ruling party changes. Permanent executives work under the political executives and assist them in day-to-day administration. Let us now revise Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister is the most powerful institution in the country. He is the head of the government and it is he who exercises all the government powers. Who appoints the Prime Minister? The President of India. Can the President appoint anyone he or she likes? No, the President has no choice. He or she has to appoint the leader of the majority party or leader of the coalition of parties that has the majority in the Lok Sabha. If no single party or alliance gets a majority, then the President appoints the person who in his opinion can secure a majority support in the House. Then what is the term or tenure of the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister has no tenure. He continues to be in the office as long as he remains the leader of the majority party or the coalition. Let us now see the powers of the Prime Minister. 1. He is free to choose ministers as long as they are members of Parliament. Sometimes a person who is not an MP can also become a minister. 2. He chairs the meetings of the cabinet and takes most of the decisions. 3. He coordinates the work of different departments. In case disagreements arise between departments, his decisions are final. 4. He distributes and redistributes the work to the ministers. 5. He has the power to dismiss ministers. When the Prime Minister quits, the entire ministry quits. Let us now revise the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers, my dear students, is the official name for the body that includes all the ministers. It usually has 60 to 80 ministers of different ranks. The Council of Ministers comprise: first, cabinet ministers. They are usually top level leaders of the ruling party or parties who are given the charge of major ministries. It is the cabinet that takes decisions in the name of Council of Ministers. It comprises about 20 ministers. Second, Minister of State with independent charge. They are usually in charge of smaller ministries. They don't attend the cabinet meetings unless especially invited. Third, Ministers of State. They are generally young new ministers who are attached to cabinet ministers to assist them. The Council of Ministers are appointed by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister. Let us now revise the President. The President is the head of the state. The president supervises the overall functioning of all the political institutions in the country so that they operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. How is a president elected? The President of India is elected indirectly by an electoral college. This college consists of the elected members of both the houses of parliament, the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states, plus the elected members of the legislative assemblies of Delhi and Puducherry. The candidate contesting for president post has to get majority of votes to win the election. So this is all about his appointment. Let us now see the powers of president now. 1. All government activities take place in the name of president. 2. All major appointments are made in the name of the president. To name a few, it includes the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, the governors of states, the election commissioners, ambassadors to other countries, etc. 3. All international treaties and agreements are made in the name of President. 4. The President is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of India. 5. The President has the power to issue ordinance when the House of Parliament is not in session. Let us now discuss the limitations of the powers of the President. 1. The President exercises all the powers only on the advice of the Council of Ministers. 2. The President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider its advice. However, if the same advice is given again, the President is bound to act accordingly. 3. A bill becomes a law only after the President gives assent to it. But if the President sends the bill back for reconsideration and the Parliament passes the same bill again, the President is bound to give assent to it. Let us now revise judiciary. All the courts at different levels in a country put together are called judiciary. The Indian judiciary consists of the Supreme Court, High Courts, District Courts and the courts at the local level. India has an integrated judiciary. What does it mean? It means the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. Its decisions are binding in all other courts of the country. Indian judiciary is independent. What does it mean? It means that it is not under the control of the legislature or the executive. It means that the judges do not act on the directions of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. There is no interference from other branches of the government. The judges are honest and impartial. They give their judgments fearlessly. How are the judges appointed? The judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister and in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed the Chief Justice. Now, how can the judge be removed? The judge can be removed by the process of impeachment. An impeachment motion is passed separately by 2/3 members of the two houses of parliament. Let us now revise the powers of judiciary. First, the Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal in all cases and can hear appeals against the decisions of the high courts. Second, the Supreme Court acts as the guardian of the Constitution. The conflicts of jurisdiction between the central government and the state governments or between the legislature and executive are decided by the court. Third, any law or executive order which violates any provision of the Constitution is declared unconstitutional or null and void by the judiciary. This is called judicial review. Next, the judiciary acts as the guardian of the fundamental rights. It ensures that people's rights are not trampled upon by the state or any other agency. The Supreme Court and the High Courts enforce fundamental rights by issuing writs. Next, the judiciary also promotes public interest litigation to safeguard the public interest. Anyone can approach the Supreme Court or the High Courts if public interest is hurt by the actions of the government. The court in this case intervenes to prevent the misuse of the government's power to make decisions. They check the wrongdoings of public officials. So this is all in the revision, my dear students. I hope you must have benefited from it. In the next video, we will do one short revision of some other lesson. Till then, goodbye and Jai Hind.